should have paid attention when this actually. Because I don't know when that happened. It happened recently. Don't know what happened. Did I ever actually turn down graphic? I think I did. Oh, I didn't change the. Should probably be like 500 for these. I probably won't know. Care to know. I need the frame rate. Need more noise. I can upgrade the graphics card. Even though one of my friends did like go on Amazon and he did find a 3070 that was like $100, but I think that vanished like immediately. That was probably a bug or a scam. One of those two. Very. Like, oh man, I could have gotten it for dollars for however that felt. Oh, that would have been upgrading. Otherwise, I'm probably stalking away on that Intel card. That guy was planning to. Yeah, and when you do keyboard aiming, it makes your life like sometimes. Also, I kind of want to play Battlescape, some at least, just to like see where the game is, because I haven't played it in like months and months. And I kind of only have it just because I like the capital ships in it a little bit, even though they kind of ruin them for me by making like, well, I mean, they're kind of already ruined with the fact that their torpedoes, unlike the cruise Battlescape, are already like important to your damage output than your guns are. And then they made it so that the guns can be made automatic, and they're so accurate when they're automated that it's like it feels like there's very little point in using them manually unless you happen to hit something important on the other, that you're fighting. So they made like capital ship combat even more like automated than it kind of all was when that was what like made it a lot of fun. Or was you had a little bit of manual control over your guns, and you could influence like if you'd win a capital ship fight based on whether or not you're accurate enough to hit like his guns with your gun, and you could turn them off. That made it fun for me at the start, but they kind of removed that aspect. They also just made like fighters just like way more not it's way more like dangerous to use, and that there's just a lot more things that will kill interceptor than there was like 2 years ago when I first played it. So interceptors were like a lot more fun back then because they were a lot less APM syncy. I think the first thing they did was they made point defense like longer ranged on the capital ships so that you're constantly getting under attack from something. So it went from 4 kilometers to 1 kilometer. No, not the other way. Went to 4 kilometers when it used to only be. So that makes it where it's like you just need to constantly move in the interceptor, or you get hit by like some random point defense that you don't even know about. And then they eventually improved the point defense engagement, where that the kinetic point defenses will just always shoot at you. They don't wait for your shield to be down. So that made it where you had even more guns able to shoot at you if you're in a little intercept. So that also caused. Also, that probably made the netcode worse, just because there's more guns going off in the same size battle. that possibly just made the netcode a little bit more strained. It's because the server now has to keep track of, like, all these tiny little guns that want to shoot, when before they wouldn't even engage until something was, like, really close, which I felt like made more sense anyway. I also added the laser point defense, which have the utility against interceptors as well. And that you can hit scan them up to 10 kilometers, and unless they know to run away, or they know where you are and they can outmaneuver you, you're gonna kill them with the lasers really easily if you use yourself. And if you get them used against an interceptor, you have to know where it is and where to run away to, otherwise you're guaranteed to die from it. And there's nothing you can actually do about it besides running away. And consequently, they added the railguns to the game, which kind of made the interceptor a lot better against bombers. Because I was hoping with the bomber to, like, use railguns on the bomber to, like, attack other bombers or interceptors, but it's the maneuverability and hitbox differences make it so that an interceptor using railguns has, like, a really big advantage over you using even in the bomb. And toward a shotgun's still better, because at least the shotgun, you have, like, a lot more DPS. And you have, like, the potential to kill him in one trigger pull if you're close enough, but... It was, like, the little... Because I didn't even use the railguns that much. This was kind of my impression that it was way... It was a gun for the interceptor to use more than it's a gun for the bomber to use. Because the interceptor with railguns will just absolutely kill you. Just due to, like, hitbox differences. I think is the main culprit. Because I think you get the maneuverability really similar with, like, outfitting. But you just are never going to overcome the hitbox, like, disparity. Or your hitbox is, like, twice as big. So you need to dodge. Your ship needs to physically move a bigger distance to dodge anything. So that means he can get a lot closer to you and still be safe against your railgun unless you're predicting him correctly. Which probably isn't going to happen. Netcode isn't the most precise in Battlescape. Like, it works, though. It's just not as precise as, like, I don't know, like, a lot more precise for, like, networking. Where stuff's, like, a lot more positionally correct, and projectiles are much more positionally correct to where they should actually be. Based on everyone's client. This Battlescape, it's like, it's a lot more... It allows a lot more error, basically. And that also means that, like, above, like... I think even 500 speed, some people say, you're already having, like, issues with the high speed just causing server errors. And then above, like, a kilometer, it's, like, significant. The amount of errors you have. And the server just can't, like, calculate stuff that fast very accurately. Which, like I said, might possibly be because of all the small guns that are constantly firing all the time now. But the server has to keep track of all those projectiles. So I remember it being a little bit better networking before. I feel like I quite agree. I just killed a bunch of AIs. It works sometimes. Well, I should have done during the tournament, but I was pretty good. Alright, Horizons, did you have your mic or no?
I have it on.
Alright. This is wondering. So I have to manually look at Discord because stream mode disables, like, the join. Which, like, kind of makes sense because then it won't record onto the stream. Then anyone who watches it or watches a replay video just get terrified. Check their Discord every 5 seconds. Rambling about Battlescape. Minor issues it has. It's basically, I learned about HunterNet through Battlescape because of Ivan, because he played Battlescape as well. And it was just when I was getting bored of Battleskip, I just asked them, I was like, what was the other game you were talking about that was like dogfighting? I want to try that one. Because I'm just kind of
I
got
was a
bored.
little bit upset to hear that I don't get to drive a capital ship, not by myself anyway.
But yeah, I know that there is like long term in the future. I would say approximately like this is like 5 years we're talking about. Fernando isn't like entirely against the idea of making the capital ships at least somewhat controllable. Maybe not where you can pilot them, but where you can absolutely like career out like guns on them, or
Well,
it's in
he
some
was saying
respect.
that the way what it sounds like is it's going to be like a vote system.
Yeah, that's the short term like idea to actually get the game mode working to start with, and then filling out detail later if he has like the funds to do it. So he needs to make like a functional version of the game mode first. Because I like capital ships a lot. I usually like them more than the fighters, just 'cause, like the fighters usually need to have like a lot of like APM to use, and you're just constantly doing actions, and it gets tiring after like a little bit. So you'd rather just be in like a slow ship so that you can relax a little, not be so worried about like being all like jittery and fast all the time. Quite nice. They are so different. Just try to be more aggressive on them instead of a bit. And then also with the capital ships and groups, though, is like I think it'd be where any person with the authority in the group can just decide where the capital ship goes. So I know at first it's gonna be a micromanagement nightmare because you're gonna have a ton of people that you just want them to control one capital ship. They're gonna like see how many capital ships they can reroute in your group. So the ships are just gonna be freaking going wherever they want to at that point. Because anyone with the permission could probably just like control any capital ship. Fernando said it's like that's how the first like permission set would be. It'd be like extremely basic like that. And I'm just like I really want it to be where if in my group I can assign specific pilots to routing a specific capital ship, and that's essentially their capital ship that they're responsible for, especially if it gets destroyed. It's like, don't expect the group to go on a mining adventure just to repair your ship if you throw into the middle of enemy territory or something and it dies instantly. Like, they might help you, but I wouldn't expect it. It's like, you need to go be a miner for a few years to get the buyback for it. You want to have your capital ship back to go do nonsense. That's what I was hoping for, but Fernando said he'd only do that if, like, after he gets, like, the more basic stuff done. If he thinks it's necessary, which I wholeheartedly believe it will absolutely be necessary to have more permissions on the groups. Because then it's just the amount of ease it would be to a troll within it, especially if you're just, like, looking to do that. Because I hear from Eve a lot, how Eve is, like, the groups in it are pretty tight, where you have a lot of security in them. You have a lot of control over preventing people from trolling you, and it still happens, and there's still people who go on, like, undercover multi-year ops just to troll a group from the inside, and it still happens. Even though the security against it is really good. So, I'm, like, terrified what would happen in HunterNet if it's, like...
I feel like until that's in place, they really should just have something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think having something's better than nothing. I just feel like it's gonna be absolute chaos until that happens.
Or or just straight up say, you know what, we're just gonna make the capital ships are gonna be controlled by Fernando to set up events.
Yeah, it's they're all for now. He has to manually
Until-
move
until he
every.
flushes them out.
He has to move every
playing
capital
chess.
ship on both sides.
He's playing chess against himself here.
But because I think the idea is like you might be able to self-moderate to an extent. Well, you can't. I mean, you'd be able to kick and ban people if they did something you didn't want them to. But it's like, yeah, that's just a lot of micromanagement. Like,
I put in suggestions today that we need a heat gun,
a heat gun.
a weapon that just raises your enemy.
Yeah, it might be cool. I feel like it'd be.
Imagine-
I feel like it'd be
just
better
going
if it's
back
like if it does like a low amount of damage. So it does a little
Yeah.
bit of damage,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly what I.
that's a
Like,
support
it's not for
weapon.
damage, but it really is just like to slow your enemy down,
Yeah,
or just to take out their energy.
it's like a support weapon. It's what you'd give to your wingmates, and you'd be like, hit him with the heat ray because he's
I just got
flying all
banned
over the
by
place.
some.
That'd be fun. I still want a long range weapon that's like direct fire, and just make it.
So essentially like a space sniper rifle.
Yeah, kinda, but I want it to be, like, very, risky thing to use. Like, I want it to be where every shot you shoot basically drains your entire energy bar. So anytime you shoot it, you drop your shields, essentially, every time you shoot it.
like
So
a-
so if you're not paying attention to someone flanking you, they can just get a free kill on you. So you need to be really careful with using the sniping weapon. Because
The
you
other
might...
idea I had for like a
Cool.
heat gun is if they had like a space flamethrower.
Flammenwerfer. Oh, I think we talked about, like, maybe doing, like, a lightning thrower instead, or something. That's, like, the same function, it just looks, like, different. That might make slightly more sense.
Yeah.
At least in terms of how it does damage, though, because it's like a flamethrower. It's like, I mean, even in real life, flamethrowers aren't, like, very dangerous. They look, like, way worse than what it actually is, but, like, if it was a high voltage, you know, arc cannon, that would actually do a lot of damage. Not only to, like, electronic stuff, but if it was, like, significant enough, you could, like, melt stuff with it. Just from the heat of electricity trying to transfer through the metal.
But that's why I came up with the idea of like a microwave gun. That it's not really doing damage to the hull of the ship. Kind of like cooking the ship from the inside out.
Yeah, it doesn't cook the pilot because he has a good AC in his cockpit.
Yeah.
For all the money went for the ship, actually. Air conditioning. Very important. Like, the ship will melt before the pilot does. I feel like it's very safe. Very safe. His AIs are right. I feel like someone's attacking me. If the way the bullets are flying past really feels like it's a player. Yeah, it's a spirit gun.
I'm not doing so hot today. I've run into at least 3 boulders now. Only been playing for like 10 minutes.
I usually crash on the rocks all the time when I'm, like, just fighting an AI or something, because I'm paying so little attention to my surround. And I really wish Rocks just did more than what they actually do. I feel like I've gotten a million hits, and they must have all hit the side or been, like, near misses, so they just proxy detonate. The bar. Didn't like it. Oh no, maybe make. People never. To be any. Oh. Yay, days cam. Thank you. Yeah, so, well, gun idea, so heat wave gun, possibly a flamethrower as well. And then, do you have any more ideas? Oh, you said microwave as well, actually. Remember that. But I think my gun ideas, it's like...
I was saying that there should be like 2 types of mine. If he wants to do like mines for capital ship, you should have like one big mine that's essentially like a fucking nuke.
I would love it if for like the really, really big mine, if a bomber, if it happened to collide with it for whatever reason, it would survive with like the tiniest amount of health and be blown to like the edge of the map. And then any other ship would just die.
You just have to like hyperspace away.
Hey guys,
Hello.
see your
We're
stream.
having fun. Yeah, I'm strong.
Oh shit.
I see Spirit Gum is in there too. He's not in the voice chat though.
Yeah, he's having fun.
So how do you like my idea of a microwave gun?
Yeah, it cooks the ship really
I
slow.
thought it was. Let me look at it again. Hold on. Get a weapon that takes advantage of the heat mechanic, like a microwave gun or a heat ray. Or a support weapon, lacks claim. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, we also thought of like a heat ray gun where it does like a low DPS to like the ship itself, but it also causes your heat to go up as well.
Yeah.
So it's more of a support weapon than a direct like 1v1.
Yeah, the problem is right now heat doesn't really
doesn't do
all it
that
does is
much.
lower your power generation rate.
Yeah.
Basically. So it wouldn't be that useful as a weapon.
That's like
That's kind of the idea. Is that
I want my penalty for being out of energy back.
But why would you equip it instead of a real weapon? That's what I want.
Because it's better for supporting a teammate, basically.
It's easier to use, I mean.
Well, not even easier to use. It's like you're putting a debuff on him, essentially. And that's way better if you're a support, if you're supporting a wingmate. Because not only are you adding a little bit of damage, you're, like, reducing his ability to fight. It's like SRSs, basically.
Yeah, I just had a feeling.
He says that as
like
he's running away from my missile.
Yeah.
It would have. If this was Hunter Net Space Combat Unbound, I would have said yes. But for for Starfighter, it just feels a little bit too out of place, unfortunately. Not that it's not an interesting idea.
I feel like it makes enough sense. Close
It
enough.
does make sense. I mean, not saying
It's close enough.
not everybody has this broad taste as we do.
Oh, I saw the Battlefield because the early access is out for, well, the beta is out for Battlefield, and it looks so much better than Halo Infinite. It's really funny. Like,
A new Battlefield?
yeah, it looks really good.
The one that had like the tornado in the video?
Yeah. Yeah, you can ride the tornadoes if you have a parachute.
That's cool.
You can just fly around them. That's what everyone does on the server.
They're teaming up on you.
Yeah, whenever a tornado enters the match, everyone on the server just decides to surf it instead of playing the game, and it's amazing.
When the map is more fun than the actual game.
It's pretty fun too.
People like to fly.
But people like the weather.
Flying
I
around a
thought.
tornado is pretty spectacular.
Yay, repair unkilled. I'm extinct like sweet.
Ah, yeah, that. Now they're in trouble. Go over there and help Spirit before he kills him.
Stays gambler.
Days Gambler, you should be helping them take out your org mate. So did you see we had a 3-way tie during the tournament?
Yeah.
I was hoping the newbies would win, but you guys just destroyed everybody.
I mean,
All
if
that-
we would have ganged up, we probably would have done it. But
I'm not sure if I
Nobody.
think I had a good KD ratio during the tournament, but I think that's about it.
Tor had a 45-0 kill death ratio.
Huh. I don't think I died during the PvP. I think I died during the racing, definitely, from crashing. But I don't think so. I don't remember. I probably died once. I was just really happy during the tournament because I fought E4 and Tor back to back and I won somehow.
Oh, nice. I killed Tor once. It wasn't
Yeah.
that second bounty hunt. And it wasn't like he was super low or anything. We were pretty similar. So, that was pretty good. I had some really awesome fights with Spirit yesterday. I recorded them, so I plan on uploading them.
And we were thoroughly entertained by you fighting Spirit.
I'm glad. Were you watching?
Yeah, we were all watching and talking. Well, I think that it might have been 2
we
days
were
ago.
there, weren't
but
we?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
you
sure
were
we
there.
were all there.
You were all there, but I had disconnected my my voice. I could, focus.
Yeah, we were all like bantering about it. Constant.
I almost killed him multiple times without pips.
We liked to. Our favorite was when you crash into the smallest asteroid in the whole map and you lost the fight because of it. That was the best part.
I'm thinking next time I fight him, I'm gonna fight him without even the lead ring. I want to get my. Do you think the lead ring is like limiting my no pip potential by?
Oh, I
focusing too
heard
much on
people.
what
I heard people say that they think that the lead ring kind of can get in the way with like HUD, but it's like when I used it, I thought it was fine. Like I don't see why.
I mean, definitely is easier. But if I want to like totally train my brain to like calculate all the lead, like you do with nothing, should I do what you do? Get rid of my fixed reticle and the
That's,
lead ring?
that's only if you want to commit fully to it. I'd say it'd probably be.
I don't want to
little-
commit fully to it. I just want to use it as a training method.
I mean, it would help a little bit, but I feel like
Because if you have
lead ring-
even a little bit of help from the lead ring, then I feel like maybe I rely on it too much. Because look, I'm seeing you hit this guy, and you don't have a lead ring. You don't have anything. That means your brain is telling you, okay, just
have
around
the-
here is the right.
I have the
lead.
sense.
You have that sense. Ooh, I want to develop that sense better. Do you feel the fixed reticle is also gets in the way, or you just got rid
Oh
of it?
yeah, I got rid of it because it was definitely getting in the way for me, just from like seeing what I was doing.
I'm gonna try.
I mean,
that
most
and go-
FPS games are like that, where you don't actually want to use the reticle to aim at people, especially if you're a sniper. It actually hurts you a little bit. You want to like rotate you want to stare at what you want to shoot at, and then rotate your screen to line up with it. Is like much.
I never seen any. I didn't know people did that in FPS games. I never seen.
That's
anybody
what-
letting you go with no reticle whatsoever.
It's like they won't go with no reticle, they'll just completely ignore the reticle in terms of aiming at someone. They don't try to line up their sights, they look at what they want to shoot, and then they line up the middle of their screen too. So they're not really looking at the reticle at all, they're constantly
Or games without
observing.
hit scan. Though.
Yeah. For games about hit scan, that doesn't work. As well. I assume it would still work, to an extent.
But there's no point. I mean, it's hit scan. Once the reticle's on the target, you'll hit them. It's only for games with like sniper rifles with bullet travel time, right? So you have to actually lead your target.
Yeah.
Or for, rockets and stuff.
Yeah. I swear, the changes you made to the, like, shields and the
Yeah.
damage areas have made rockets, like, do half the damage they used to, is what it feels.
They got a little nerf. Well, the shields are
I've-
gonna get a little tweak.
me and
It's not like
Days,
stopping
like,
you from shooting
swear.
everybody.
Like, me and Dave swear that the rocks got nerfed somehow more than anything else, we don't even understand why.
Well, yeah. Could be. You're doing more of the splashes coming from the front than from the side. So.
I guess, it's like, you feel like you hit like 20 rocks on a light, and you look at the health, he's like, still has a core of his health left. I'm like, how? These used to be like, well, they still are the highest,
You
like,
killed
single
that light in
damage.
3 hits.
Well, he probably left his. Or maybe it's like, maybe it's like issues with the visual projectile versus where it actually is. Or something like that.
had to explain to someone that LRMs are absolutely trash against fighters.
They're only good in a team, a big.
Oh,
team.
that went super well. I got a bunch of hits in a row that time, so
That's
that
where
went
you really
super
want to
well.
use them. I mean, cause, ooh, you just killed him in like 4 hits there.
Oh, that's because, well, that was just because I was able to follow him. I was able to mirror his movement.
It does plenty of damage. It's the highest alpha damage weapon in the game.
Yeah. So it just feels, I guess the main issue is it has the potential to kill someone, but it feels really inconsistent. I don't know why. Like, it feels like you're getting direct hits even at a distance, and it just does nothing. It's like, but up close, it's like, yeah, it's gonna do direct hits really fine. So I don't know if something weird's going on. I don't know what it is. So it's a mysterious weapon for sure.
And the LRMs are good, Horizon, but they're really only good
Oh,
in
that
a
was-
big team environment where you can use them to finish people off or get people who are, distracted.
Or
But
just
in a
running away.
1v1, yeah, running away. Because Daze has been like the MVP multiple times when he's been on my team because of LRM kills. And we definitely have, and more times than that, we ended up winning because of him. Just because those extra finishing kills. He'll end up getting 4 kills or 6 kills in a match. And most of them were from LRMs. Not all of them, but a lot of times it's the... I often feel like if you had a team that committed to everybody equipping an LRM as their second hardpoint, and then actually practiced a little bit so they actually knew when to fire them instead of just wasting them, that if you use that like as a truly like a team coordinated tactic kind of thing, it could give you a significant edge.
I feel like if
it could be a tool for the repair tool.
I feel like if the other team decided to just go all bombers, I feel like that would ruin your strategy.
Well, if they go all bombers, it might not be the best strategy. But let's say the other team is like just a typical normal team. I think having those LRMs, and if you especially had 6 people with LRMs, I think they could really, they could assist each other from a distance. Anybody running away, people would have to turn to avoid them. You could really, there is no team that really has super high level coordination. You know what I mean?
Oh, IDK used to be like that when Renzo would play and existed.
Yeah, and here's a perfect example.
It used to.
Daze, Craze, and Renzo worked really well as a team. And Daze is not the top dogfighter, but he's the top support player,
I just remember Boxel complaining about Daze's team. I was like, what do you mean Daze is the best team?
he's very...
He never dies. He never dies for stupid reasons, and he just harasses the enemy team constantly. That's all. It's exactly what I want.
Some people don't like being harassed, basically, and they don't like having to chase them down.
I'm gonna report you for harassment.
Oh yeah, that was the funny thing when I was like talking about like Power Burn, because there's been like a million discussions about it or whatever. But the main like stance I had on it is like I don't think that there's a lot that needs to be changed about Power Burn, because to me the only issue is it's a little bit too easy to use it to escape a fight when you're both facing each other. If you decide to Power Burn fly past somebody, they can't actually do anything to chase you. They have to rotate and then Power Burn, and you'll get distance on them. To me, that's the only thing that needs somewhat of a nerf. And the funny thing was, ironically, LRMs would actually kind of counter that a little bit, but the problem is, the LRM won't always be able to turn tightly, just based on, like, your positioning, and the fact that you have to, time your rotating really fast, you might not be able to get a direct line of fire with your LRM. So it might not be able to arc enough, though, but, I mean, because they're power burning away, it would have the best tracking. It just might not still be good enough.
Dave said something I'm not sure I understand. He says, hey, Nando, been thinking if the LRMs had their self-tracking at 1 kilometer back, would they be too strong?
Oh, well...
Oh, that you don't have to paint the target once they get within 1 kilometer?
Well, I know one of the changes you made where it's made the LRMs just do better further away versus up close. I don't know what caused that exactly.
No, what I changed before was that before you only had to guide them up till 1 kilometer distance. At that point, they would go self-guidance. Tracking was the same, whether or not you were guiding them or they were self-guided. It just meant once they got within 1 kilometer, you wouldn't have to keep your nose on the target anymore, which means you could stop messing around them. But I changed it to just have you track them the whole way, just because it was clearer, and it forced you to keep an eye on target. It gives the target more time to counter you and attack you. So yeah, that's not going to change. I like the way they are right now, where it's just much more straightforward. It's like you just guide them all the way to their target. There's no they switch modes within 1 kilometer like before. I think the LRMs are perfectly fine the way they are. I do wish in the future people will try to take advantage of them more.
I still-
Power burn, I think overall the biggest problem with power burn, it's definitely too easy to run away sometimes. I think you're right about that, Gun.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's specifically just when you're both facing each other and you try to fly by. That's the only time I think it's a little bit too easy to pull off.
But
It's very specific.
the next build, like I said in the feedback channel,
Yeah.
there's gonna be 3 different parameters. I'm not gonna say we're gonna nail it on the first time.
Oh,
But this
probably
should give us
not.
enough information to get it where it needs to be. But yeah, there was so much discussion, and I'll say the same thing I always say. It's like I'm just not a big believer in like debating this kind of stuff on Discord, because I feel like to me what's more important, whenever you get feedback, there's always 2 parts to it, right? One part of it is there's a problem, right? Or there's a perceived problem, right? Whatever the person is thinks needs to be changed, whatever they think is the problem. Now,
Whoa.
what they think is the problem might not be the problem. It might be a symptom of a bigger problem. It might be a misunderstanding. You never know. But there's definitely always 2 parts: the problem, and then sometimes there's a proposed solution. For me, the first part when you get that feedback is figure out, okay, what is the problem that person sees, and then figure out, is it a real problem? That's the first part. Then the solution for any given problem, there's actually many possible solutions. And not only are there many possible solutions, many of those possible solutions are actually probably pretty good solutions. So any given solution is not that valuable, because what you really want to know is what's the right solution for this particular game, for your particular point of view as the game's designer. And from my experience, at least the way I design things, is I take so many different factors into it, that even I, being the guy who made the game, being the person who spends the most time thinking about it, and like having to gone through this loop the most amount of times, even I, when it comes to solutions, I almost never know that the solution is the right one until I freaking put it in the game and try it out. So it's like, it's so far removed from that to me, it's like, that's why a lot of times I'll just say, when I want to at least let people know that I listen to their feedback, but I try to hold back from getting too much into it, because to me it ends up causing more problems than it solves. So yeah, that's why I really wasn't too involved in that discussion on the Discord. I definitely heard it, and just like you,
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has their own opinion from their own experience.
Stole my kill.
But my
That's a
opinion
crime in 7 countries.
is power burn can be refined, just like every other feature in the game can be refined. It definitely is not as perfect as it could be. I definitely don't want to get rid of it. I think it does more good than harm. It just needs some refinement. So we're gonna refine it and then see what happens. And also it depends a lot on the situation, like what works well in an open world kind of scenario where there's a very specific goal can feel very different in a free-for-all, right? Like the free-for-alls that we did during the tournament, that's probably like one of the worst case scenarios for abusing power burn, right?
Yeah.
You have a high bounty on your head and you don't want to get killed. Well, yeah, power burn and worry like crazy. But that's very different than in a war-like scenario when you're trying to blow up capital ships or space stations. Yeah, sure, power burn away.
'Cause I think
you already won part of the war. The enemy's running away like a chicken all the time.
Because with, like, solutions, because, like, I think it was mostly when I was talking to Tor and DMs about Power Burn, I had a few ideas for solutions, but, like, every single one, I basically decided that I don't want to suggest this publicly, because I'm pretty sure this is like the cure being worse than the disease, basically.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh yeah, you could, like, the things I thought of is like, well, you could make it where while you're power burning, you take more damage. I'm like, well, that doesn't actually solve the problem, and then makes it where you can't use it in combat at all anymore.
Yeah.
So that's awful. I said putting a delay on it, it's like, so you have to, like,
That's pretty awful.
hold it. It's like, to me, it's like, that might not affect flight as
they
much.
haven't pressed it.
Yeah, well, it's like, that might not only that affect flight, though, that also technically wouldn't solve the problem either, because you're not going to know what they're doing until it power burns. It doesn't help you react to them power burning at all. You'd have to, like, make a system of, like, telegraphing it or something. Like,
Yeah,
that's not...
yeah.
Like, that's a lot of
Well,
effort to do.
We'll see what you guys think of my solution when I put it in, but the
Yeah.
nice thing is, number one, super simple to implement, super simple to test, super easy to adjust, makes sense from a logical perspective, does not require any user interface changes, works well with, I think it'll work equally well with both racing and combat, work well in free for all, and work well in the open world, and
Yeah.
work well in team fights. So it took me a while to come up with it, but I think I came up with a pretty good solution. And then I'm adding on top of that solution, I'm also adding the 2 test parameters. One which you can just turn off power burn globally. The other one which will limit the max power burn speed to be equal to the max 4 boost speed, where power burn is acceleration only. I really don't think either of those are good solutions, but they're useful in terms of seeing
I know.
the extreme case.
I know the acceleration only, that will help. Definitely.
But yeah, they won't be. It's not a good solution in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's only useful for testing. To me, I see it the same way I see like remote pilot or triple gun. It's
Yeah,
good
I like
so you
my
can
remote
see what
pilot.
it's like, but not so good as like a way you want to be playing the game normally. Right?
Although, I
you
mean,
don't normally want to play with remote pilot.
I do play remote pilot very rarely when it's like you
Yeah,
know
I mean,
what?
like,
I just
I
want
wouldn't want to play that as like the default way of playing the game. To me, it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
I mean, I kind of want triple weapons like balanced instead, and then it could be on all the
Triple weapons
time.
I really don't like how it feels at all. I mean, yeah, you could maybe make like each additional weapon crappier or something, but
Yeah, that's what I'd want to do. But
yeah.
so we'd have so many potential for weird loadouts. It'd be great. It'd be like Star Conflict, but without the bloat.
I like to keep it simple.
And
I don't want to have to keep track of additional
games.
stats for how many times you equip it or anything. Anyways,
Alright.
okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna get off
Oh.
here. I'm gonna change the date. Since
I mean,
it's
I think the only thing for like changing power burn that I liked was like just making it work separately from racing and the main combat, because then you can do whatever you want to it.
Yeah.
But for racing, it's like that's where you just have a limited power burning that doesn't use like energy or whatever, and then that way you can nerf it. You have more options to nerf it in combat without simultaneously killing off racing.
Yep.
You just separate them out. To me, that was like the only like good solution I could think that would actually make sense.
I'm gonna go change the campaign aid date before I forget.
Oh yeah, because it's gonna end in 2.
65 thumbs up. Nobody said anything, so it looks like everything's okay with it. I want to do it now before I
Yeah.
find out that they don't.
So that's what I thought. It's like, just extend it from now and then do the itch.io keys until the early access. Like, that makes the most sense to me.
Yep. Okay, guys. Well, see you later. Good.
Have a good...
Good chatting. Talk to you later.
Actually, where is Days? I could have sworn he was in the game. I haven't seen him once. Oh. Yeah. So Spirit was like, you know, still training up for... He doesn't want Fernando to get a second win on him. He was like trying out. It's like, I hope he manages to like make it where Fernando can never win against him, because that'd be the best thing ever. It'd be so funny to watch.
That was really funny yesterday.
Oh yeah. I want it to happen again, where Fernando's just like trying every loadout and trying every map and trying every strategy with like how he's flying. See, there's a Days. He stole my kill. There we go. I was wondering. Oh yeah, did you have any like caring about Battlefield 2042? That's like the weather. Weather's cool.
2042?
I think that's what the new one was called, I'm not sure.
It's possible.
I don't remember the date that they decided
mean-
it was set.
So, it's alright, in my opinion. It's just, they treat their community crappy.
It's a little weird. I mean, recently they've done a good job treating the community. I know that I think Battlefield 5 was like the low point for like them treating the community, because that was where they were like, if you don't like it, don't buy the game, or that was like
Yeah.
their argument and stuff. It's like, I
And
think,
then Battlefield 5 was like dead within a year.
yeah, it's like, basically from what I heard about the matchmaking, it's as hard to get a game as Battlefield 4 is, which I think says a lot. So it's like, so you can pick between Battlefield 4 or 5, and the difficulty to matchmake is like identical. It's like you can always get in the Conquest, but the other game modes are like, yeah, you have to be lucky to get in that game with. Which I found is like, yeah, that really says a lot. Because Battlefield 4 was
Like I said, I just didn't like the way they treated their community. Anytime a developer's like, you know what, my community doesn't know what they want. It's just like that should just scream that you're a bad developer.
I think, like, actually, this is something Yamix put really well, is he said specifically it's like, it's not necessarily the developer not doing what the community wants, it's the developer both not listening to the community and not doing what the community wants. It's like you have to do one or the other and if you don't do, like, either, it's like, that's when you're a terrible community man. Like, if you don't do what the community wants, you should at least listen to them. It's like... Because sometimes you do get, like, bad criticism from the community. Which is why, when you're a developer, you have to know who's giving you bad criticism and who actually knows what they're talking about. But regardless, you never want to be rude. It's, like, the main thing you can never do. No matter how stupid you think someone is in the community, you can never be rude.
As a business, when I took business, like, the very first thing is, like, the customer's always right.
Yeah.
So at that point, I don't see where it comes into play where you're telling a potential customer, don't buy my product.
That's like, that costs them like millions and millions and millions of sales just from saying.
It's not just Battlefield that's doing that, but it's a really stupid rhetoric that keeps coming out of all these different industries.
It's like yeah, you're
Star Wars did the same thing.
It's like
same exact thing.
It's like your customer base already knows they don't need to buy your thing, but if you tell them to, you're gonna cause everyone to, like, you know what? That's a great idea. I'm not gonna buy your game. I'm just gonna go play Battlefield 4 because I already bought it a while ago, and it still has like servers and everything. And it's annoying though, because like there's engine improvements they did, but
Battlefield 5 was actually, when I played it, because I bought it when it released on Steam. Like, it's still pretty broken. Like, you can hit people through certain walls. You can, like, some of the guns are just way better than other guns.
I never
played.
played.
Straight up cheat.
I never played Battlefield 5 just because like I didn't want.
I mean, it's a decent Battlefield game.
Like, I think I was playing like PlanetSide 2, which is like.
Yeah, PlanetSide 2 is good. I love PlanetSide 2.
Right. I don't know. I think it was like after I played Battlefield 4 more, and I went back to PlanetSide 2. I'm just like, PlanetSide 2 is like way more boring compared to Battlefield.
My favorite Battlefield was Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 I poured so many hours into.
The horror.
That was the only game I bought for like an entire year, was just Battlefield 3.
That was a Blue Tent. I don't know why. That's the only thing I remember because I never played it myself. Even though it's like very, very similar to Battlefield 4. I think it might have worked a little bit better though. I think, just from like looking at like footage between the two games, it seemed like Battlefield.
Well, the game was way more like destructible and everything. Basically,
I think like the destruction was more consistent because Battlefield has it where it's like on the map there's like maybe 2 buildings that can collapse, but everything else is immortal basically. It's more consistent. But I think Battlefield 3 you have like a lot more of like the small detailed deconstruction where it's like okay that wall you can like slowly like chip away at. But you're not going to collapse any buildings though, but they're going to look like worn and torn. Like throughout the map,
walls and stuff. You could take down the building if you took out every wall in the building. That's how Battlefield 3 worked.
Okay. Because Battlefield 4, it's like you have the skyscrapers are like scripted to destroy, basically.
But it was really good. Pretty much anywhere you could see on the map, you could go. Like there was nothing that was just there to look. That's why always take like the helicopters and just go on top of the towers and stuff.
And then it's a map where they either don't have jets or don't have AA, so the helicopters just reign supreme.
That's like perfect. And
it's
when
like, you stop doing that.
I played on PS3 almost all the time. So when you learned how to do a jet, like you were damn near God on the battlefield.
Yeah, unless like there was an AA vehicle, which is the only thing that like will contest you.
No, like if you knew how to fly a jet, the AA just wouldn't keep up with you.
For Battlefield
You
3.
could absolutely destroy everything.
Well, maybe they changed AA in Battlefield.
That's possible. Like,
Because the AA in Battlefield 4, you have the SAMs and you have the direct fire, and the direct fire is like really, 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 really good. Like you just need to be accurate with it. That's it. So like yeah, you'd shred a jet. If it's just a matter of if you're gonna hit them or not. So you just need to be good at predicting what jets do, and then you'll like dominate with AA against jets specific.
So in Battlefield 3, like you had the direct fire,
Yeah.
but it was one of those things that because there's never anybody in a jet, nobody ever learns how to take out jets with them.
Yeah.
I would like to point out in HunterNet, if you start hitting max speeds, the UI starts to freak out.
Oh yeah, if you go too far outside the map, basically, it has you're so far away from the center that there's starting to be errors at the math that your graphics card's doing. That's why everything like freaks out a lot. Fernando said he actually already fixed that with like the experimental test build that he doesn't release for, you know, the new game mode basically. He said that he already fixed it, but like he doesn't see any reason to like backport it to this. Because the maps aren't like this big. He just made the maps this big to test to see if it like was functional. It's like, yeah, it's functional, it's just not polished. Perfectly functional. But you can fly out to like the edge of the map and fight people there. It's just looks really bad. But it does work.
So is there actually an edge of the map, or?
Yeah, there is an edge of the map.
Oh, I may be just flying directly into the edge of the map.
Yeah, you'll hit it eventually. I'll take like...
Can you actually like take damage by hitting it?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm going like 3,000 miles a second.
Yeah. I feel like it does... It either does reduce, like, damage or something, because I don't think you die from, like, even that fast, whereas in normal racing, you die from, like, going above 700 and you hit something, you die instantly. Makes it way easier to reset. It's a lot of fun. Actually, after you hit the edge of the map, I'm probably gonna switch it to racing just because I wanted to do a little bit of laps and then end my Strom for the day.
Strom?
Yes. Big Twitch Strom. It has one person one. Which I'm fine with, because it really feels like most people watch the recordings. Because stream will get like 1 to 2 people, and then
I just hit the edge of the map.
Oh, and then I'll get like 1 to 2 people, like live, and then once it like is done, and I look like at it like 7 days later, it'll say like this had 9 views. And I'm like, so you're telling me 7 people watched this like after?
So apparently I started locking onto Dazed out here. Apparently Dazed is out at the edge of the map as well.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but that's how you do it to speed, is you can slow down to 0 and you'll still have like everything be glitched in your head. It's just like based on distance from like the center.
I'm moving so fast that if I fire rockets, I run directly into them. It's perfect.
I would say I would rank up, but I hit the max. I'm just killing AI for fun, man. That's all it is. It's happening right now.
I'm currently trying to see how fast I possibly can get.
Well, you'd have to go from, like, because the map borders are basically a giant cube. So you need to go to one corner and then fly towards the opposite corner. And then when you fly past the middle, which is where all the asteroids are, you have to somehow not hit any of them. And then make your way to the corner, and that'd be, like, the fastest speed you could theoretically hit. Because you couldn't, like, travel more distance than... Because even if you're doing like a perfect
And
orbit,
the entire way you'd have to be power burning as well.
yeah. Well, you can't do that because the G forces won't let you. But it'd be like you'd have to do a tool assisted.
It's not capped anymore, Days.
Yeah, maybe it is capped to like 3. I mean, it takes so long to get there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually capped to it.
I was already going past 3 when I hit the edge.
Yeah, so Days, you're just better at flying than him then. That's what that means. Days doesn't know how to fly his shit.
Well, that makes 2 of us.
Doesn't even know how fast it goes. I don't know how fast it goes. Yeah, well, your memories are wrong.
Just changed it in the latest update. So you probably did it. If you did it longer than a week ago, then it's probably different now.
A wild day. Yeah. I just remember getting to the edge of the pipes before they removed the speed cap, so you're kept at like 500 or whatever it was. And I went to the edge of the map, and it took about like 30 minutes. At least. Just to see where the pipes go. Or... I think it was, yeah, but I think it was like when I was playing PlanetSide 2 after playing Battlefield, I was just like, PlanetSide 2 just feels really boring. Like, especially when it's like a bigger scale battle in PlanetSide, because it's like, yeah, it just feels like everyone just gets stuck camping the same spot, and and unless you're coordinating, you can't really push. Like, yeah, it's like if you kind of feel like you have to be in like a large squad that's like pretty well coordinated to like do any work. Otherwise, you're just stuck camping each other. It's like, at least in Battlefield, there's not that much coordination, but like points still like swap like pretty regularly, and you're like moving where you're fighting a lot, so it just feels way more dynamic without requiring you to like be super coordinated. Because I don't really like, I'm not a huge fan of coordinating with people. I prefer to just like do my own thing, and then it just works out with like, you know, the match like progressing somewhat.
I like coordinating with small groups of people.
Yeah, I'd like that more. Like, it's like the more people, the more I don't like it with coordinating. Like, I prefer to just do whatever I want, but if it's a small amount of people, I could probably tolerate it, because I used to play Elite Dangerous for too long, so I'm used to, like, Wings of 4, and then you're just killing AI. It's, like, easy, and then everyone dies somehow anyway. I never understood. It's always been a mystery. Like, why is it whenever
no matter what, when you're fighting AI, everyone complains about how easy it is, and then you get games like Arma and like Elite Dangerous where no matter what, the AI is always just gonna curb stomp.
Oh, the funny thing that happened to me in Elite is I'd be in a wing with 4 other people, and I swear, anytime I'd ever leave to go refill ammo on my ship, that's when everyone would suddenly die horrifically. And I'm just like, am I really helping that much? Because I did not believe that for a second. So, I mean, when I had the ship that had the repair beams on it, I used to use those. I can believe, oh yeah, they probably got reliant on the healing, so when I would leave, they were screwed.
Confirm, Days is still correct about the max speed being 3,000.
Oh, alright.
Apparently Fernando lied to us.
Yeah, it's not unlimitedly like. I still want to test it with like no soft capping. It's like there's no capping at all. You'll just accelerate like at the same speed forever. Because I just feel like that'd be fun. Like, I just want to test it. It'll be fun.
Honestly, in the persistent universe, if they give you unlimited speed, like truly unlimited speed, can I literally sail across the universe?
It's like, I think Fernando. I know I mentioned the idea of you could have like a specific part of the map, so a specific sector, where it uncaps your speed and it puts like a pop limit there, because the reason he doesn't want to uncap the speed is because of the network like load on the server. He wants to cap the speed just to like so you can have a lot of players. to make the server calculations better. But I figured it's like, well, and he figured that he wasn't like, he didn't say no, but he didn't say yes. So it's like, maybe we will get like specific spots on the map where you can only have like maybe 16 pilots there at a time, and then you have uncapped speed in that sector, so you can like
Or
fly
it'll just
around.
be a hidden spot in the like
Yeah, something like that. But I figured it's like,
I was going 3,000 meters a second, and then suddenly I started going 4,000.
because to me, like, I just feel like that's like a cool way to add like more variety to locations. It's just to have like unique like.
We're gonna find a
modifier.
bug. We're gonna find a bug and just find a way to uncap the speed, and then we will become literally the freaking the hyperspace fucking railroad.
Alright.
I'm tired, so I'm gonna go take a nap.
Alright. I was about to say if you were ready for me to change the map because you're doing stuff. With like speed and so I didn't want to reset you.
I did my thing.
Alright, cool. I didn't want to reset you when you were still like having fun testing speed. Unlike Fernando who just does it whenever he feels like it.
Speedy boy lives matter.
Yeah. I think it wasn't it. I think it was Sunday when he changed it off of racing, and everyone was pissed off because they were doing really well on like laps and whatnot. And it was so fun. It was just like at least 5 people shouting about it. Alright, I'm probably gonna do 3 laps and immediately give up because I know I won't break the record I have. I won't do that because I'm not patient enough to do it. I'm not good enough, nor am I patient enough. So I'm failing on both fronts. Alright, today's when we get lunch. Okay, I should be racing because the racing feels like it's really fast, which is a bad sign because that means I'm not very focused. Like, because you know, like, you know, time dilation and how like you perceive like time passing. That's kind of how racing feels. Or sometimes it feels like it's slower, and sometimes it feels like it's faster than what it actually is. So when it feels like it's slower, I feel like that's like when I actually maybe have a chance to do really well. But this feels like it's really fast, so I'm like, yeah, I'm very unfocused. It's probably because I was fighting a Spirit Gum, and he's like better at movement, so you need to like do a good job to like. It's like you can't slouch when you're fighting him.
Just G-lock myself.
I like how G-lock is actually worse than dying in the race, because the respawn timer is 3 seconds, but G-lock lasts for 5 seconds. So it's actually better to just die than the G-lock. Kind of fun. Yeah, I keep hitting that. I'm not... Maybe I should try hugging the left side of the tunnel. That might be better, just because I can't precisely re-vector the power burn to avoid the metal asteroid there. I don't have, like, a good, reliable way of doing that. I'm just so happy Fernando did take the suggestion to, like, have the strafing also be soft capped instead of hard capped, because that makes racing a lot more. Because you don't like lose speed randomly just for strafing, because you're technically past the speed cap, so it just auto slows you down. It doesn't do that anymore. It's like you have to like be moving in a bad direction. Oh, I hit the tunnel rim. The problem is I can't see very well because I'm always like pulling off my G load in that tunnel. So I can't. If it was like perfectly clear, I'd probably have a way better chance of navigating it. But because it's like half grade, I can't see as well as I want to like avoid the obstacles. It's very unfortunate. Not to mention that not having double boost, because I did the record with double boost, and you can only take one It makes it a lot harder, but I did get within 1/10 of a second once of beating the record. So it's definitely possible. Probably because I got better at racing a little bit. Since I did the record, it's just the ship isn't as good.
Wait, so what's the record?
2 minutes 12. For the racing. So, like... And that was done with, like, double boost, which you can't do anymore. Kinda sucks. Double boost, like, it basically means you can accelerate and brake faster, so that saves you, like, a crap ton of time. It like, saves you, like half a tenth of a second every time you need to, like, accelerate or brake. So that adds up to probably, like, a few seconds throughout the race. Oh, no, I hung a little bit right that time. I think that's probably better.
I think it's better in tunnels. I've just had luck where if you just rotate to the left the entire time will boost it.
Oh, darn it.
I get all the way through the tunnel without hitting it.
Oh, the problem is I'm going in the tunnel at like 800 meters a second, so it's you don't have a lot of options. It's like hard to like not die horrifically. I mean, I find it hard. That might be a lot easier for you. It's like that's like the part of the race. It's like, yeah, that's the easy part. What are you on, man? I nail the tunnel every time I hit it. You need to like, get good. What you need. Although the third tunnel is like always like. Oh, we're going way too fast. Oh yeah, so yeah, that power burn killed the speed, which I think is a good. But yeah, this definitely feels. Yeah, that's the most consistent way that done. It's just not. I've just done it. I know I've done it faster before. Which is what bothers me. Oh no, too much of a swing on that. I swung out too much. I'm just glad that this curve doesn't screw me anymore, because boy was that frustrating. I would die on that curve every single. No. Okay, yeah, there we go. See, that's like closer to how fast I used to go through, like breaking 1,000. And there we go, and then vectoring this like a little. Oh, that was so risky, but that paid off. I hang that side here, just a better route, I figured. You always want to break up here. I feel like you can get away with it, but you can't. The geometry of that fucking area always screws you. Every single time I've tried. Oh, that was close. That was within 0.2 of a second of the record. It was very close. So yeah, it's like minor execution. Like I said, like if I had double boost that, I would have beaten the fucking record. It's because of the tiny time savings that has would absolutely add up. It's a shame. I want to beat it. Alright. Anyway, I'm gonna end my stream. I just want to do a little bit of race. It's probably the last part of the track I keep screwing up. Like, I don't know.